But I think that the growth of head shops had as much to do with drugs as it did with our radio operation. But as has been mentioned, they were primary advertisers. You know, you were telling people where you could buy rolling papers and tweezer clips and bongs and
What were the euphemisms we used for that on the air? We couldn't say like for all your dope paraphernalia. We used to call it, you know, for your.
I often referred to personal pharmaceutical research.
So one day, Ron Hunt, who was the station general manager, a man who had just realized that this whole underground radio thing was way beyond him, had sort of withdrawn into the wings, came and handed me an electric bill, utility bill, Pacific Power, I think, or PG&E, for $3,000 for the transmitter. Now, that bill had not been paid for quite a while. It had taken him some time, like 3 months, to work his way from his office over to mine. And in that time, the bill had become so overdue that when I got this bill for $3,000, it said, pay this within 72 hours, or we're going to shut off the power. Now, a radio station without a signal is not a radio station, it's something else. So I talked to Tom Donahue about it, and I said, is this serious? I mean, is like it going to go? Are we going to go off the air after 72 hours? He said, we have to cover this because they'll pull the plug on us. Our child, our baby, will be stillborn. We'll go off the air, and there's damn little chance that we're going to get back on if we do. So I said, oy. So I hit the streets, and I went out and I hit every account that owed us a nickel, trying to raise money, trying to get advances on the money due us. Went to Bill Graham, and he was way too tight and too maniacally building this empire to cough up any money. I went to Chet Helms at the Avalon, and Chet was too disorganized to figure out if he had any extra money over what he was going to pay the bands to be able to give me any money. And I went to all the retail stores. They had had such success with our ads that they had spent all their money buying more inventory. They didn't have any money to give us. I mean, I collected a few pesos, but it's not much. So after 2 days of really killing myself out there in the streets, I came back into the radio station and realized that we were out of strokes. Suddenly we were in deep, deep trouble. We, later that day, were probably going to go off the air. So I went into Tom's office and I said to him, Tom, I'm really sorry. It's my fault. I blew it. I wrote all these ads. I've got other pals to write all these ads. And we've got all the foreign language programs off of the air. But we don't have any money, and I can't figure out how to pay this $3,000 transmitter bill. And the station's going to go off the air, and I was almost in tears, and I said, it's my fault, Tom. I'm sorry. And Tom just sat there and looked at me and twisted up this joint, and he said, Mylan, don't worry about a thing. In that voice of his, he said, I'll take care of everything. And such relief I felt. Suddenly, Tom was going to take care of everything, and I took this joint from him, and I went back to my office, and I lit the joint, and I was off the hook, you know. I was out of the crosshairs, you know. Suddenly I was out from underneath the thumb. And I was also very loaded at that moment, and loving it, and loving every creature on God's green earth, and loving all the dope dealers that brought all of this dope into the station and gave it to us for free for the music we were playing. And suddenly it occurred to me, dope dealers, of course. They can't advertise on the station, but they certainly are part of the economy in this counterculture here. So I called up mine, pal I'd grown up with, and I said to him, Rolf, I said, we're going under, man. If we don't get $3,000 within about 3 hours, we're going off the air. And he said, really, going off the air? I said, yeah, going off the air. There's no doubt about it. So he said, well, he says, I'll get it for you. He said, let me go out and back and dig it up. So sure enough, about an hour later, he came into the station with these 20s you wouldn't believe. You know, the corners were kind of missing on them. You know, I don't know if the worms had gotten at them or the mold or what, but they smelled like they'd been in the ground for a long time. Anyways, this big fistful of $3,000 worth of 20s, and he just gave it to me. So I went running into Tom's office. I said, Tom, I got it. I got all the money that we need to keep the station on the air. I got it, Tom. We did it. We're okay. And Tom just looked at me and said, see, I told you I'd take care of everything. And of course, he had taken everything. He had taken care of everything with his cool. The man had just that power to cool you out when your knickers were in a knot and get you to consider the options and to work it out on your own. That was Tom's genius.